Welcome to MZBC, the podcast for March the 28th, 2022.
Revamp.
Revamp?
Revamp. It's been a little while.
Yeah. So we haven't been here in going on a month. Trying to work on a new system here. Mike hooked us up with some new electronics, so we're trying to work on sound. So if you hear something that sounds funky, we're working on it. I don't hear anything right now through my headphones.
Other than us.
Yeah, other than us. I mean, we sound like we sound. We can't help that. But other than that, we're back at it, baby. Mike said he had a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Russell said he's got a lot of venting to do.
I'm not going to vent, though. I told you if I did start talking, I would start venting. Yeah, that's okay. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. Is that what they say? What does that mean? Does that mean that it makes the bad thing taste better or something? Like with a grain of salt, or because a grain of salt is so small?
Is it salt or sand? I think it's both, isn't
it? I'm going to say salt.
Let's see.
That's what I don't like about recording.
Let's see what Dr. Google says.
Recording things lets people know how many things we do not know. That was always my fear.
Take it with a grain of salt. Let's see.
Yeah.
Regard something as exaggerated. Believe only part of something.
Why they picked a grain of salt?
That's actually the dictionary.
Maybe just because it's a small part of a dish or something. I don't know, bro. But we won't figure it out tonight, you and I. I mess up sayings all the time. Just last week, my wife is very, into the, I'm going to say wordology. That's not a word, but that's what, she knows every word and phrase and whatever. Vocabulary is immense and great. But I think I said wreck havoc the other day on something. I have no idea what I was talking about, but it sounds right to me. Like when I say I'm going to wreck havoc, would you say oh, okay, that works? That's not the saying.
That's not the saying.
Do you know the saying? I
would get what you're saying.
What is the saying?
Cause havoc.
Cause havoc, but I was close. Wreak, W-R-E-A-K.
Wreak havoc.
Wreak havoc.
Yeah, it was wreak havoc.
Wreak it. I was bringing some havoc to whatever I was talking about that day, and she shut me down.
Was this a Saturday night when you were saying it?
This was not a Saturday night. This was a Sunday morning, because she only corrects me if I say it on Sunday morning. In real life.
Oh, the other 6 days, it doesn't matter. In
real life. Sunday morning's not real life.
Yeah.
That's my pretend life. But
put your pastor cape on and come flying in. Mm-hmm. Got all the answers.
You know how it is when we do the big show, turn on the lights and all that, and I'm everywhere. My big
pyro's going off.
Face on a billboard.
Yeah.
Trying to get
like you one of them churches on the north side of town now.
Yeah. Amen. Those churches on the north side of town got a lot of money. I don't want a lot of money, Mike. You know what comes with a lot of money?
A lot of headaches.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of responsibility, but yeah.
No, you can get it.
More
if
money,
you got
more
money,
problems.
you can get rid of the responsibility.
Yeah, well, that's true. Pay somebody else to handle your responsibilities. The only thing I'm trying to figure out on this new setup is I feel like the camera angle is real tight. Mm-hmm. So if I sit back like this, I'm not even in the camera. Mm-hmm. We haven't moved the camera, which makes absolutely no sense. So it's okay. I'll move closer. But what's going on with you? So for 3 weeks, so when we first started, March Madness was the last time we met, March Madness was about to kick off. Now March Madness is always down to the Final Four. Who's your pick in the Final Four?
The winner.
The winner. People do brackets. I'm sure some of these shops you go to, all these mechanics have brackets and stuff. You don't talk about it though, do you? Of course not. They have them guaranteed. But my bracket.
We did when I was in the employee field, mm-hmm. when I was employed somewhere. We did paycheck poker is what we did.
And what is that?
Paycheck poker is you take your check number, the check number, not your money, but the check number, and you play that as your poker hand.
Oh. And what do you win?
Whatever the buy-in is.
Oh.
$5, $20, whatever.
Gotcha.
I never played because I was like, no, I'm afraid I might lose.
That's why I never gamble. I'm afraid I actually might lose money, and I don't have enough money to lose any of it. So
I was never a big gambler.
No, it's not been one of my things. Even on the golf course, we don't a lot of people gamble in golf. That's what people do. I don't, because I'm not good for one, so I would definitely lose my money. But two, it just adds a whole nother level of stress that I'm not ready to try to attack. But yeah, so 3 weeks. March Madness was kicking off. We're down to the Final Four. My brackets are still alive. I still have Duke alive. They're the only team I have alive in my bracket. And it's kind of good because Coach K, this is his last year. But I've always been a Duke fan since high school. I have no idea why. Obviously, I'm 5'5". I never played basketball, so I wasn't have any reason to be a fan of any basketball
Now, do
team.
you necessarily have to be tall to play basketball?
You don't, but I would say that
It helps.
It helps tremendously. Yeah, I mean there are a large number of people that played in the NBA and whatever, especially college, that were my height. They're usually really fast, can dribble really well, and can shoot really well. And I can't do any of those three things. I'm slow, I can't shoot, and I can't dribble. So
You just have the same height.
yeah, yeah. And some people,
I guess 1 out of 4 isn't that bad.
There's been people 25%. That's pretty low, even in a baseball average. If you're hitting 250. There's been people my height that dunk a basketball that can just jump up out of the gym. So it's pretty amazing. But so that's about to wrap up. Golf has been insane lately. I know you don't pay attention, but you should watch what's happening in golf. Just some good stuff, bro. And you don't even.
I don't know. That last one you told me about out in Arizona sounded like a mosh pit or
It was,
heavy metal concert. It's like, wow, I don't know if my body can handle that anymore.
That's the only one that the PGA has that's like that. The Waste Management Open in Phoenix is. I know I told you I wanted to go one time, and after I saw that ruckus crowd, I was like, no, I'm out.
Wreaking havoc.
Never wrecking havoc.
Wrecking havoc.
Yeah, they were definitely wreaking havoc on that course. So golf has been good. My golf game has not been good, but who cares about that? But
Mine haven't been good.
yours, you haven't really worked on yours though. So I've worked way too much on mine for it to still be as bad as it is. But hey, out in the sun.
I mean, as many gift cards as you've got to Topgolf, you should be getting dialed in by
I know.
now.
The problem is
You should be getting dialed in.
I agree with you. The problem is I do really well.
There's a lot of the sports out there you can start playing.
I do really well at Topgolf. I think it's because it's such a relaxed environment. And I don't know. It's just you're having a good time. The sweet tea is really sweet at Topgolf, so you play better out there. I tell Elijah all the time when we go there, like, I wish I could take this game to the golf course. Because you'll just step up at Topgolf, like, see how far I can hit it out there and just swing out of your shoes, and it's really good. But I'm not that good on the real course, but it's still fun. Being out in the sun with friends. I say friends with a plural because now I have 2 golf friends. I used to only have 1. Now I've upped it to 2, so I feel like that's a 100% increase in golfing friends. That's pretty good. And they're both.
If you want to be out in the sun, I got an extra seat in the service truck.
Yeah, I don't want to be out in the sun. Like, I can go roof a house. I want to be out in the sun or cut grass, but I don't want to be out in the sun like that.
You did say one day he's going to ride with me.
I will one day, and that day is going to happen.
Let me give you some advice. Don't wear that white sweatshirt.
No, I will not.
You know why my mechanics' clothes are always really dark?
Just in case.
No,
Yeah.
there's no doubt you're going to get nasty.
Yeah. But when I roofed, my stuff was pretty disgusting too. Just jeans and T-shirts though, which ruined them, throw them away. Break out new stuff the next day. So what you want to talk about next, brother? What you got going on? I watched basketball, I watched golf, I played golf. Haven't done much else. That's really kind of all my life revolves around. I mean, there's some ministry mixed in there. But I don't want to get into ministry because I told you if I start talking about ministry, then I was going to get frustrated. And that's not what we're trying to do tonight. Trying to encourage people in John chapter 12.
I think it's 12.
I think it's 12 too.
Yeah. No,
actually, it's 11. They're just starting on 12. You're right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to stick in that tonight.
3 weeks work has just been brutal.
Yeah, I guess. Why haven't we met in 3 weeks?
Well, the first, I guess week 1, 3 weeks ago, week 1, I got tied up doing a lot of work because apparently that week a lot of stuff was winding down, and then the week after a lot of things were starting to start up, new jobs. So I had a week to get a lot of this stuff done, trucks and trailers and whatnot. And that Tuesday, I got stuck in Noonan all night. And I say all night, I didn't leave noon until 7:30 at night. and then it's an hour ride from there home. That was
And then you were caught up in the hijacked bus chaos.
that was last week. So that would be week 3. There was that. I was told it was some kind of bus hijacking in Gwinnett. That it was either on the exit ramp or on the bridge, and they shut the interstate down.
Wow.
And of course, I didn't find that out till I left my job to run to Napa over on Peachtree Industrial, which is like a 15-minute drive. Well, an hour later, I get there.
Wow.
So I didn't get caught on the interstate, but I got caught on Jimmy Carter Boulevard, which it affected everything.
Yeah.
Because it was shut down between Jimmy Carter and Beaver Ruin, I believe. And I was like, why not? Because I think that was a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't meet that Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And the week before that, I think week 2 was your fault.
Yeah, 2 of them, if it's been 3 weeks, I would say 2 were my fault.
Well,
the last one, this weekend, was my fault because I told you we'll just try to do Saturday, and I didn't think about my son having a soccer game.
Yeah.
Can't do both of those.
Yeah. So I was like, we're here. So we're going to try Mondays now to see if we can make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, it'll
so
happen.
I guess if it's going to be midnight, we'll just have to make it midnight. Thankfully, it's not midnight.
Yeah.
Just work, been brutal.
Yeah.
However, during all that, we were still spreading the gospel out there.
Yeah, I was partially joking about not wanting to talk about ministry stuff. Everything has been going honestly really well. I got no complaints about anything. I just have had a lot of things going on this week where, not even this week, it's only Monday. I guess the end of last week, beginning of this week. It's just people that, a lot of, not even members, but just people in general need. There's a lot of need in this world. Mm-hmm. And I know that. And I know that we're like called to serve people and not I guess serve people and meet their needs like Jesus tells us to do. It's just being wise about not being hoodwinked, not being bamboozled, making sure that there's a legitimate need. And when these people, and so using good discernment, I guess is what I've been trying to work on this week, because a lot of people
always try to get the message across too. It's like, you don't have to come to God just when you have a problem. You can come when the sun is shining and say, hey, appreciate it.
Or you can be my friend other than times when you need something, because then when you need something, it's a lot more easier to be like, of course I'll do that.
Would come and help you a little faster.
Of course.
They're just calling out the blue, and you hadn't called in 6 months. Then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I need some help. It's like, well, you know what I'm saying? Who don't?
Yeah. I had a wise person tell me a long time ago, like, just pay attention and be aware. If someone that you haven't spoke to or talked to in a long time all of a sudden just pops up out of the blue, just be ready. They want something. It's like, okay. And so I've been paying attention to that, and it's come to fruition a lot of times, but it's been good, though. We've got to help people. I've got to help a couple people lately and serve them, and so it's all good. It's just the human side of me is like, the human side of me, I guess sinful side, the fleshy side wants to be like, dude, I got problems too. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you won't see me calling you up, telling you mine.
I understand that's kind of my role, but
there are days it's okay not to answer.
It's just some days where I just want people. I want always people to be working on our friendships and our relationships and stuff, because when there are moments of need like this, it's just easy, like you say. It's just easier to drop and help somebody that we've already established a friendship. Like, if you called me, I would not hesitate to be like, he needs me, he's invested in me, we've had time together. Not so much with everyone, and everyone can't be that way, but that's just part of life. So I'm not complaining, I'm just talking. So it was all good. But yeah, we've been doing a lot of ministry. We've been seeing a huge, I say huge, it's huge in the small church life, which we are, just growth in numbers as far as people coming to small groups, people attending worship service, people watching us online, people giving. It's just been a lot of upward.
Wednesday seems to be doing good also.
It's great, yeah. I mean, it's just they started that Lead Like Jesus, and I told somebody when it ended last week that this is exactly what me and Mike had envisioned when we thought about this. Not either one of us just standing up lecturing, but just throwing the questions out there and letting people respond. And
once they warm up, I mean, it takes a minute. You have to poke them sometime. So, hey, how was y'all's week? And then you hear crickets. It's like, wow, I need to come hang out with you guys.
Yeah, of
I
course.
said, my week's been terrible.
No one is really quick to just jump up and voice their opinion until you ask them.
Once they get warmed up and get going, they'll get going, and then we'll run over our time. Like, there you go. Yeah. So Wednesday's turning out good.
Wednesdays have been good, but like I said, church has just been a blessing. Like we've had a lot of visitors lately, young adult visitors. Just a lot of good things happening. It's good to see. I don't think we've met since our heat had an issue in the worship center, and we had to move everything over into the gymnasium one day, and that was such a.
I'm glad that happened.
You weren't here that day?
Yeah.
Oh, you were glad that happened. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because that previous Wednesday we were talking about people
right.
being very protective of where they sit.
Yeah.
And there's been debates and arguments of when you go into a worship center or a church building. Well, that's my seat. No, it's not. This is not your seat.
That's so funny. Yeah,
and then everybody got moved that Sunday.
Yeah, we did say that. We're like, this Sunday when you come to church, maybe mix it up a little bit, sit somewhere different. And that's what we said. We said God just changed the whole thing. He's like, I'm going to shut down the whole building.
It's like, I know some of you will not, so I'm going to make all of you do it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
And I poked my head in there. I didn't know Gerald did his testimony that day. I hate I missed it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he did it.
It was good.
But I was walking around, walking around, keeping an eye on things, looking at the kids and all that good stuff.
And security.
Then, I think I don't know if that was my day or not, but I was kind of wandering around up there. And I stepped in there, and I remember I come in right when you were saying, man, I feel like it's a classroom in here. I'm so close.
So close to everybody, yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's awesome, isn't it? And then I talked to Vance for a minute because he was right there at the door. And I think I was in there about 10 minutes, and then I walked back out. And I did. I didn't know Gerald was going to do his testimony. I really hate I missed that.
It was really good. He has a really good testimony of growing up in his father was in the maybe Air Force, Navy, one of those Marine. He was in some on military. So he grew up in an environment that was very much diverse. Like on a military base, there's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, everything. I mean, there's no segregated places really on military bases. But when he moved to South Georgia, I think he said Barnesville, when his father got stationed here, it was the first time he got invited to go to a church, and he was the only African-American in the building. Now, he said, like, nothing happened. Like, no one said anything or did anything, but it was the first time that he looked around and was like, whoa, I'm the only black guy here. So he said that was kind of like an eye-opener, just of the real world. And so he had a really great testimony of just living life like so many of us do, looking for answers in a lot of wrong places, and then ending up here just like us, and God leading him to Mount Zion. And then just a really cool testimony of how this was his family, and how he's been accepted, and now he serves and does all these different things. So it's just really cool testimony. So yeah, I hate that you missed it too, but we had been working on that for like a month.
Yeah, I remember you were getting rough drafts from him and just helping him get it dialed in.
Yeah, but it was his. I didn't go ask him if he wanted to do it. I mean, he asked me could he do it, and it just worked out perfect. So it was really good. It was really good. Yeah. So we moved that day. So that was like a huge growth moment for us to just up and move from one building to another, and no one complained. No one had any mumbling, grumbling, any of that stuff.
No
Guess you can mumble your grumbles. Yeah. So no one did that. Everybody just was like, all right, that's what we got to do, and we did it. So that was kind of cool. And I thought it was it was a good worship service. We just had a good time that day. And then the last 2 weeks have just been really powerful, I guess, in worship. I don't know why. We have a couple new people that have joined the praise team that are with Steve now since he had to have his shoulder fixed. And so that's been an extra jolt of energy. That might be what it is. That
something new.
Yeah. Something a little different like that. And so it's been good. I got no complaints as far as that goes. I really have no complaints. We celebrated an anniversary last week, not this Sunday, but the Sunday previous. And so that was good. The church was super kind. Like, I wasn't even joking. Like, when I went home and opened up all the cards and different things, there really were tears, like, in my eyes, just because everybody was so kind. I mean, you guys gave me a freaking Topgolf gift card so I can go out there and ball out, so I appreciate that. But, yeah, everybody was just super kind, so I was blown away by all that.
Yeah, it's a chore.
Yeah.
I'm not fully, well, I don't know how to say it other than I'm not fully invested in ministry like you are. I mean, this is your job. But the little bit that I do, I was like, wow, it's a chore. You know, it can be a chore. Some days it's a fun chore. Like, there's fun chores that you like to do in your life, and other days there's some chores where you're like, Jesus, if you don't make me do this chore, it's not getting done. So ministry's the same. There's times where I'm reading or I'm doing a lesson or even going through a book to present a lesson, like on Wednesday. I was like, God, why are we doing this? I ain't listening. Yeah. Why don't we just skip this Wednesday? But then there are those other days when you start reading and building. You literally have to stop yourself because before you look down, you've got 4 or 5 pages of notes. Way more than you could ever actually cover. Got to try to narrow it down and get the high points. So it has its days. I think we said that in this past Wednesday night class. It's like, yeah, there are some days I have to pay myself to read. Because it can be a struggle sometimes. And then whatever else happens during the week, because that's going to affect it. And it may not have nothing to do with it. But I had one of those moments last week. I can't remember what day it was now. Thursday, I think it was. I had to go to Noonan and work on a truck. Well, apparently when I got there, they were working at night. So when I got there, nobody was there. I like it like that because they're not in my way and I'm not in their way. So I pull up there and I'm changing oil in the truck, and there's a few other odds and ends that the owner wanted me to check out, a turn signal and a mirror, stuff like that. Well, I'm done with the truck. I changed the oil. The filters are all changed. I greased the truck. I got everything put up in the truck. And I had to let the cab down. It's a cab over. So I let the cab back down so I could pour oil in it. When I started pouring engine oil in, that's when people started showing up to work. It's 11:30 or 12, somewhere around there, and they start showing up for work. And the driver showed up. Never met him. Don't have any. I didn't even know he was a driver until he come and put his bag in the truck. And I told him, I said, I put your stuff in a box and I set it outside. Because when you got a cab over, you want to get everything out of the truck because you don't want it to fall and bust the windshield out. He said, he said, I appreciate it. Really nice guy. And just kept, I poured oil in it and checked it out. So the truck's done. And I start looking at the other little things, the dome light, stuff like that. And something, I don't even know how we got to talking. Because when he got there, I never imagined that we would even start a conversation. We weren't against it. We just didn't start one. And I don't even know how we got to talking. I don't even know what started it. Oh, there was something about a mirror. He come and told me about a mirror on the truck, and I got up there and looked at it, and I told him there's nothing I could really do with it today. And we just got to talking, and somehow, that opportunity arose, and I went right toward the Bible with it. And the owner of the truck was there, and then the driver, and we're all three standing there talking, and we all start talking about our kids, about school, and then trips coming up and all that stuff. Well, the owner had to go to set, so it was just me and the driver. And then I guess we just start talking about kids again. And yeah, we did. We got to talking about the kids, his kids, and his kids are grown, And that's how it happened now. And he was really, really happy about his kids, the way they turned out. And I think he said he had 3. And one was like a prodigy. He was just brilliant. And that was interesting. I just stood, I'm talking, I'm just listening, really. And he mentioned something, and I think he started to mention something about church. I was like, this is my opportunity. So long story short, we just got to talking. I just started feeling him out, and just letting him talk. And I was like, he's going to stray. He used to have his own trucks, and he owned his own truck business. And I believe at one time he may have got up to 4 or 5 trucks, if I remember the story right. And me and him kind of did the same thing. We got so wrapped up in our business that we lost sight of who gave us all the business. And I said, I went through a 2-year wilderness walk with mine because I lost sight. I was so focused on that and not the Bible. And naturally, I carry my bag everywhere I go. I had my bag. I was like, let's go over here for a minute. Pull my bag out, pull my Bible out, and here we go. We start going through it. And I was telling him about study Bibles. I said, it'd been nice if somebody would have told me that there was a such thing as a study Bible.
When you first started, yeah.
Yeah. So I got it out, and I usually go to the most famous verse in the Bible, John 3:16. Because even if you don't read a Bible, you've heard that verse. So I'll go there, and it's like this. I said, well, it's also good to throw a 17 in there too. Because it tells why God done it. He done it for his love, but why did he do it? So nobody would go to hell. So they kind of go hand in hand. So 16 and 17 is good to throw together. And then I broke it down, how it breaks it down here in the study Bible. He said, I want to see that. So that's why I got it out. I said, and I also use Amplified. And got it out, went to the same verse, and it just magnifies certain words. It amplifies it. And basically, after that, I prayed for the guy right there. Prayed for him. Is he wanted to get back. He said, Mike, I'll give this business, is they'll work minimum of 12 hours a day. He said, and I live, I think he said up in Gwinnett or somewhere. I mean, he lived a good ways. He said, now why would I spend 12, 15 hours here, but I won't go to a building on Sunday for 2 hours? He said, I said, you're being held in conviction. He's convicting you of that. I said, I'm glad you thought that, because I don't hear that out of many people. I said, I've said it. Why will we give our job a minimum of 40 hours a week, but we won't go listen to the pastor for an hour on Sunday or Wednesday or any day? But we'll jump ditches and cut through gas station parking lots to get to work in the morning. But when it comes to here, no, I'm out. And so we actually prayed right there. I prayed for him right there. And there were other people around. He didn't care. And I'll tell you this, when they saw what we were doing, their language changed. I bet, yeah. They stopped using that language once they saw what we were over there doing. And I mean, they were just as kind as could be. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why are you concerned now? You didn't care before. But then you see us over here, we're praying. So I prayed for the guy, encouraged him. And then I broke out a really good story, the prodigal son in Luke. Mm-hmm. I said, that's you. Mm. I said, you don't have to go back to God. Because if you just turn around and head his way, he's going to run to you. That's the story. I said, run. He was holding it back. And I mean, we were both just, the hair was standing up. And, it was awesome. Yeah. I mean, it was really good. And we're in a parking lot of a closed down hospital in Noonan. And we're having church right there. And he loved it. I told him about the podcast. I gave him a card, mm-hmm. the podcast card. And and I even pulled it up on YouTube. And, of course, the last one that come up was the March Madness. He goes, oh, yeah, you don't do sports? I said, I don't care about the sport. He saw your shirt. He said, oh, he's an Alabama guy, huh? I was like, yeah. He said, give him a message. He said, what?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Yeah. I said, I'm going to do it on the podcast just for you.
I love it. I live in the wrong state.
Go Dogs. But it was really good. And then Sunday, I actually texted him a couple of verses mm-hmm. just to give him some more encouragement. It was one of them was, I'm just going to pull them. I know one was James, and we exchanged numbers so we could have each other's number. And here it is. The first one was Malachi 3:7. Basically says, if you return to me, mm-hmm. I will return to you. Mm-hmm. And then I put James 5:19 through 20, which is what we did in the parking lot. It says, if you turn a brother from his ways, you cover a multitude of sins. Mm. Mm-hmm. And I sent that to him, and he wrote back. He said, thanks. He probably meant, thank you, my brother. As he said, he admitted he was saved. He just he went astray. And so that's why I pulled out the prodigal son story. I said, that's you.
That's it. Perfect. The you said something that when you guys were praying, they have like this, I'm sorry, I hear every time I talk, I hear like an echo, so I'm sure that other people are hearing an echo, so I don't know what that problem is. We'll figure that out next week. Hopefully we'll be better. But when you started praying and they realized what was going on, their language changed. So it lets me know, and I experience this a lot when I'm talking to people, like people really do understand God. At least they understand the concept of there being a right and a wrong way to do things. It's like they just cannot see their lives living in a world where they're fully committed to that. It's like their understanding of everything doesn't fit that mold. And so it's hard to get people to accept the fact that they can come to church and be around church and still fall short because you're a sinful person. That's what's going to happen. You're going mm-hmm. to fall short. So in there somewhere is like this understanding of what God is and who God is, and there's a right and wrong way to do things. Mm-hmm. But it's still hard to get people to see that.
Yeah, I got something here. And I told him, I said, anytime you're talking to somebody or they're speaking to you about the Bible, I said, if they don't open it up and show it to you, ask them to do it. Mm-hmm. I said, because this is the word, not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And that's why I carry my bag with me, so I can open it up and I can show it to them. Mm-hmm. Let's see. There it is. I'm in Ephesians 5:4. Coarse and foolish talk or crude joking are not suitable, but rather giving thanks. So apparently Ephesus, the people in Ephesus had bad language too.
Yeah, that was one of the things that was in Colossians this week, right here. It said, but now you must also get rid of anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. Mm-hmm. And then over here he said, there was another thing that Must have been a different version I was saying, but it was basically like that. And I was thinking, ooh, I think some of that stuff is funny sometimes. It was like,
and I told him, I said, now I said, I'll be the first to admit, I'll cuss out a truck. I said, but here's the difference. When a believer does it in contrast to a non-believer, I said, we'll be held in conviction of that, and we'll repent. It's like, God, I'm sorry. I lost it. I lost reign of my tongue.
Mm-hmm.
I said, a non-believer's not going to do that. He said, oh, I just lost my temper.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And there was something else you said I was going to look up. Oh, I know. And then we also got to talking about this. I'll just call him Noonan. I'm not going to say his name. I told him I wouldn't tell his name. I said, I'm gonna use your story. I said, I'm not going to say your name because he knows who he is. But if he said it was okay, I would. I wouldn't mind. But I said, if you don't tell me. I just want to grab a couple of them now. Because I said, just like with the language, when those other guys were around and they saw what me and Noonan were doing, their language changed, their attitude changed, their posture changed, which is probably good. I mean, it's good for them. They didn't have to do it because of us. I said, why? I said, we'll take a 3-year-old. And I'll use my 3-year-old when he was 3. How would a 3-year-old know that he would go in the kitchen and grab a piece of candy or a cookie or something off the counter, and when he walked back in the living room where his parents are, he would have that behind his back?
Mm-hmm.
I said, how would he know that's wrong?
Right.
I said, he's 3. He has no idea of the world. Well, how would he know that's wrong? Or you go and talk to a guy that's comes on the church grounds, and you're talking to him, and you invite him in, and he goes, well, I would, but on the weekends I go see my girlfriend at the university. It's like, how would he know that's wrong?
That was my point, I think. Yeah.
So I'm in Jeremiah 31. It says, look, the days are coming. This is the Lord's declaration. When I will make a new covenant or agreement, a lot of people don't know what covenant is, with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. This one will not be like the covenant I made with their ancestors when I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, a covenant they broke even though I married them. I mean, they were breaking it before he even gave it to them, while he was giving it to them. The Lord's declaration, instead, this is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days. The Lord's declaration, I will put the teachings within them and write it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. So how does a 3-year-old know it's wrong? Written on his heart. How does a 20-something-year-old know that going up to a university on the north side of town, sleeping with his girlfriend on the weekend, he's telling the pastor, well, I would, but I go sleep with my girlfriend on the week. How does he know it's wrong? Written on his heart. You can't escape it. It's on all of us. And when we try to put something there, we're always trying to fill it or searching or whatever the phrase you want to put. Whether we just bury ourselves with work or try to accumulate a lot of wealth or grow your fleet of trucks or get all this knowledge or get something, and we're always sticking it in that hole, it's not going to work because there's only one person /thing that can fill it, and that's God. He said, why? Because God made you. He made you. And that's the only thing that's going to fit there. And when you get it, and then I said, now when you get it, and then I even we were having church. I'm telling you. And I went to Galatians. In Galatians 6, 5:22. But the fruit of the Spirit, God's Spirit, is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, self-control. Against things there is no law. He said, and I said, there's one thing that's not mentioned there that people always want to find. Happiness. Happiness is a situational emotion.
Mm-hmm.
These are always with you. Regardless if you're on top of the mountain or if you're down in the valley, which is when most people will contact us, down in the valley. But you'll still have the joy. That's always there. It's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And he was love. I mean, he was soaking it up.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I was able to do it.
Yeah, you crushed it. That was great. Those are all great scriptures to point him towards. I mean, those are right on, and that's exactly.
And I showed him every one in the Bible, every one of them.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's written on your heart, so you know what's right and wrong. And I guess what held me back for so long was the fear of you feel like you're missing out on something fun, because what you know as fun is, I mean, sinful. What we know is, before I knew Jesus, what I knew as fun was going out, being pretty rowdy on a Friday or Saturday night, whatever.
Wreaking havoc.
Yeah, wreaking havoc on.
Is it
wreaking havoc on the city of Atlanta, around the North Druid Hills area, is where we used to hang out at, and yeah, so that's what you know as happiness. So it's super hard to know that there can't be happiness without that, I guess.
Yeah.
But your heart knows it. I mean, your heart. It's written in there. If you'll just tap into it, it's there. God created you. It's all there.
We would sear our conscience. I think Paul wrote that in Romans. Our conscience, we were searing it as with hot iron.
Searing it like you do a steak.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's in the Bible, huh?
Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't it be?
So that's really good. So hopefully that you'll see him again. Cross paths again, and hopefully he'll subscribe to the podcast and be inspired by us. That'd be cool. And that's exactly what we do it for. So that's a great.
We're the
story.
one.
There's been a lot of. I've had a couple of
Go
conversations.
Dogs.
Go Dogs.
One more time.
It's the year of the dog. It's the year of the dog, man. They're just like living their best life, but they have to. They have to. I mean, they've earned it. So I'm letting them just every time I hear Go Dogs, I just let them do it and live their thing and whatever, and we'll get them back next year. It's fine. You don't hear any Go Tigers, War Eagle. Trying to mess with David because he's listening.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, you was talking about basketball. Isn't he a basketball guy?
He's an everything Auburn guy. It doesn't matter. He's like me with Alabama. It could be water polo. We want our team to win. And so his team did well, though. They made it to the tournament and won a couple games. My team made it to the tournament and did not win a couple games. They lost the very first game. I don't forget who they lost to, but it was not somebody good. They got blown out, but we're not great. There's been a couple of people that have called this week that I tried to share the gospel with. One gentleman was a little intoxicated, and so I did. What's the scripture say? Don't throw your pearls before swine. So I was like, I'm not even going to get into a lot here because I can't understand your words. They're so blurry that you're not even going to remember.
Like, I didn't even know Ozzy had my phone number. Have you ever heard that dude just talk?
Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hear him until that show came out.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard his music back in the day at some point, but
there was a running joke. He should just sing everything because you can understand him.
Oh, that's true.
Shared, will you make me a sandwich? It's like, see, you can understand that. But if he were to say it, it's like,
he's done one too many painkillers in his life.
It's amazing that man is still alive.
No doubt, because he's seen some stuff for sure. But yeah, I've had a couple people call the church, and I've been trying to just figure out, like you did with that gentleman. I think what you did was perfect. You just like listen, and then when God gives you the door, walk right through it. And so you listened until you found out, you understood that he was just kind of walking away for a minute. He just needed to get back on track. Yeah. And so that's why I try to listen to people and hear what they're saying about God and their life and whatever. And what I find a lot, and especially in the last couple ones, is people have waited too long. I mean, they never waited too long for God. He's always there, but they've gotten themselves in such a deep hole that when you tell them, Like, you need to turn it over to God and trust His plan and all that. They're like, I hear you, but my bills are due like tomorrow or last week or whatever they're calling about. And so what we want to try to do is get you to realize that before it becomes that dire, and like you can
usually if you get a bill, there's a date. That's when they sent the bill out. The second date is when they would like that money.
That's right.
Or some of that
Don't
money.
wait until the day before to send them their money. I know, I get it, but it's been, for the most part, I think people have been responsive to it, and I just like to listen to people's stories and then pray with them. And that guy, I did pray with that guy, and I was like, can I pray with you, man? Because I think you're not on your A game right now. I think you could admit that. And he was like, yeah, and whatever. And then I said, let me pray for you. This is my number. Call me back if you wake up tomorrow and this is still going on. Call me back. He didn't call back. I don't know if he remembers we talked, but it was a conversation and we talked about Jesus, so that was good. But I had forgotten about the young man that was at the church, and we invited him to church.
I was like, Russell always wants opportunity. Here it is. I had to come find you.
You went and found me, yeah.
And I found you. I said, here's your opportunity. He's talking about college football.
Yep.
Go get it.
Yep. And that was the first thing he said. He was like, I would love to come to Bible study, but just so you know, sometimes I go spend the night at my girlfriend's house on the weekends. And I was like, well, who wouldn't? I mean, you're a 20-year-old kid. No kidding. Yeah. That's what
the
we
only
do.
Thing that runs you is your hormones.
Yeah. We've all been there and done that, dude. We get it. But he's out there right now.
Is that him?
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me think of it.
It's the same guy.
Is it?
Yeah. He's here every week. He waves and we say hi or whatever, but he hasn't.
Got to start somewhere.
He hasn't ventured into the door yet. He will.
We could always go out there.
Yeah, we should sit out there next week. Say, we're going to record out here. You want to hang out with us? But yeah, what else? We going to read this John scripture? Nah, you done enough. John chapter 12 next week if you guys want to read ahead. I thought this was interesting when I did start reading it. John chapter 12 starts off with 6 days before the Passover. Jesus came to Bethany where Lazarus lived, whom Jesus had raised from the dead, and here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine reclining at a table with a dude that was just dead?
That'd be something.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder where Hollywood got that plot from, like The Walking Dead. I wonder where they got that from. I think they just thought that up. That'd be a good movie.
They took Lazarus and they made him a little worse because I'm surely he wasn't going around like a zombie. He was fully restored.
Then something else that has kind of been on my mind is I heard it twice.
Okay.
Twice. Well, actually, yesterday would be 3 times. I heard the same thing. Divorce was 3 things I heard last week.
Divorce?
Yeah, divorce. Actually, this past Sunday in Reclaimed, our life group, we kind of had open floor because it was just so busy. And I told the guys on Saturday, I said, I haven't taken the time or even had time to put a lesson together. Mm-hmm. So we kind of just got to talking about that because it was on my mind. We're not getting a divorce. It's just other people I've heard.
Yeah.
I believe I think I got message last night that one has been reconciled.
Okay.
So that was probably teetering on the edge of it. Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad because he is a very dear friend. We've known each other for many, many, many years. And we help each other out because he's a mechanic, I'm a mechanic. We help each other out a lot. And anytime I have a certain question about something, I'll call him. He always helps out. So we've been friends for many years. And it kind of made me sad because he's your friend.
Of course.
So I did call, or I sent him a message, I think, Sunday night or Saturday or sometime. A lot of my days are running together. The past 3 weeks are running together. Just to check on him. He said they reconciled. So they said, well, his quote was, we're light years better now.
That's great.
Like, well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, "Will you and Haley pray for this couple?" And he just gave their names. I was like, absolutely. I said, "Who are they?" I said, "It's not important, but I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind praying for people I don't know." And he wrote back and he told me who they were. We don't know them. I don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
And I let Haley know about it. I said, "Well, we also prayed for God's will for you guys too." And he said, that's when he wrote back. He said, we're way better. I was like, well, good. And then so we prayed for the other couple that he knows. And then I went to look at a truck for one of my customers that he's buying from another customer that I know. I guess he's actually in the middle of a divorce. And he was not ashamed to tell me how he felt about her. I was like, well, the truck's running pretty good.
I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now.
But I don't know the guy that has the truck as well as I know the guy that's going to buy it.
Gotcha.
I just know of the guy that owns it. He knows me and I know him. And, I mean, he was just ripping into her. And I got in what I brought up in class yesterday. I said, what is the deal? I said, and I even asked Haley, I said, what is the deal when you get together with somebody? I mean, it's nonstop. It's like happiness and the birds are singing, you talking on the phone, texting all day long. And then X amount of time later, months, days, months, years, they're the scum of the earth. It's like, what happened? It's the same person.
Yeah.
Now their attitudes and life may have changed, but I asked Taylor, I was like, when you're laying in the bed with them and having sex, I said, were you feeling that way then?
Not at all.
Nope.
Yeah. We're such fleshy people when relationships.
I say, is it one thing? Haley's like, well, it could be many things over a long period of time because they don't talk. Or I was like, I don't know. I said, because it's the same person. Like if Haley and myself ever got divorced, I mean, she's still Haley.
It's been the same. It was something that we have the tendency. I mean, everyone does to overlook something you like in someone else. Like you may have something about you that I don't even notice because I'm so in love with you and like so over the top, just excited about what we're doing. If I live with you for a few years, then it starts to annoy
it's like
you.
Live with them.
Yeah,
live with them. Then you'll get to know them. Yeah.
But I mean, that's a tricky. Tricky
one
road,
time I asked somebody, it's like, man, I'm in love with her. So are you in love with her or parts of her?
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I think that's what gets so many young people nowadays tripped up, though, and getting
looking at parts.
Well, no, that'll never change from now until the end of time.
I think that's a guy thing. You know what gets male deers killed the most?
Female deer.
The male deer, the bucks.
That's gonna say female deer. Is what get the male deer killed.
Yeah, they go rut. It's called rut.
Right.
That's when they're in heat. And you'll be watching hunting videos, and you'll see that buck. He's zoned in. He's just. I was like, boy, that stuff will get you killed.
Yeah.
Sure enough, he ends up dead. He gets a heart. He gets an arrow in the heart, and he's dead.
At least the last thing on his mind was something good. I mean, he was pretty psyched about it.
I'm gonna get it. Oh, you gonna get it? All right.
But I think that trips people up a little bit because they do go with that tendency of living together before we're married to try to figure it out, make sure we can do it, and then they get to where they're sleeping together before they're married and living as if they're married before they're actually married, and it just gets things out of whack.
And then just so happen have a kid.
And so it gets things out of whack, and then people are trying to figure out, life, and then it gets busy, and then before you know it, we've been married 5 years and we really don't like it. It's just like a whole thing. And so you got to be so wise and smart at the beginning of relationships, which I was not. Thank God mine worked out. I was a dude. There was a girl that would talk to me. I'm in. Like, it's like I
don't even know what to do.
I'm just glad. I know what you responded. So I'm just glad that God was in the midst of that and worked all that out, because of my marriage and my relationship has been, other than my relationship with God, probably one of the best relationships in my life that have impacted me the most. And so he definitely had an impact on that. But divorce has been a hot topic for a while now. I spoke to several people where they're not getting divorces, but just going through tough times. Some of those are on the rebound, and some of them are just kind of like the same. But that's why I was talking 2 weeks ago. There really is a bunch of spiritual warfare. Just like it always happens, but for whatever reason, it's very prevalent right now.
And I pulled that up also. I think in class, though, we're not battling the flesh or each other. We're battling the dark ages, the evil. We're battling with Satan.
And especially when you see people,
I think that was actually in Ephesians.
Especially when you see people growing in the Word and growing in their service and growing in their commitment to their church and different things. Like I've said a couple of times that I've seen growth in people, and I told them this Sunday, when we start trying to live our lives in a way that honors God and in a way that pleases Him, and doing things that we know are right, it upsets the evil one, and he starts trying to.
He's gonna turn up the heat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Ephesians 6. I thought it was.
Yeah, that's exactly what I read last week during the sermon.
Yeah. 6:12. For our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the world powers of this dark age, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavens. This is why you must take up the full armor of God, so that you may be able to resist in the evil day, and having prepared everything to take your stand. And then he goes through the armor. And then people will say, well, why is the devil wanting anything to do with me? I say, well, one, because if you've accepted Christ, you're on the hit list now. I said, he's coming after you regardless. But if you're trying to walk holy in God's ways, you're on the hit list now. I know what I'm looking for. I just don't know what book it's in.
Which one are you looking for?
I'll tell you in a minute.
I love this scripture that says like the devil is like a roaring lion.
That's in 1 Peter, I think.
Yeah, it's like he's just looking to pounce on you. Just always talk to the teenagers about, he never pounces on you in your things that you're strong on. He never pounces on you when you're feeling mighty. He always pounces on you in those areas that he knows you're weak in. That he knows that if he just presents something to your eyes or to your ears or to your sense of smell, whatever, if you're not trying to eat, and he puts something in front of you, we will fall victim quick to his tricks. And you always notice that when people are trying to walk closer to him, when you try to start walking closer to the Lord, it just gets a lot more harder, because the devil knows, like, all right, here's one of God's people trying to, the more, if he spreads it to the next and the next, then so he's trying to slow you down. And any small piece of doubt he can throw into your mind is enough, just takes a little doubt on our
That's
part.
what he did with Eve. He just put that
one little thing.
Seed of doubt. It's like,
just one little thing.
Well, what I was getting at, to go along with that, because it said the dark powers of this world, because in my version doesn't have it. It says, for our battle is flesh and blood against the rulers, against the authority, against the world powers of this darkness. Because in one of his temptations, Satan was saying to Jesus, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you all this because it's been given to me. But that's what I was going to tie those two together, because God, he's like, go on down there and do whatever you want. And then I did also tell Noonan about, you were just talking about it and I completely forgot. When we're attacked. I said, now when Jesus went to the wilderness to be tested, because he God's not biased. If God sets out a rule, everybody's got to go by that rule, even his own son. So it says you have to be tested. So when he got baptized by his cousin, he come up, the Holy Spirit descended on him, right to the woods he went. Or in their case, the wilderness. I said, now Satan didn't come to him at the beginning. I said it was 40 days later. That's when he showed up. I said, and that's when he shows up with us, just like you said. I was getting at. I told Noonan that also. That he's not going to attack you where you're very strong and you're very rooted in what you believe. But he knows your weaknesses too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, because Jesus quoted the Bible. I said, Jesus didn't argue with Satan. He quoted God's word. Well, Satan quoted God's word too. I said, Satan knows this better than we do.
Of course. Yeah, he was one. I mean, he was there with him. And so, yeah, it's a wild thing. And then the stuff that they talked about in here, like we talked about in Colossians last week, it's the same stuff.
Did you preach last week?
Yeah, like the same stuff we talk about today. It's still nothing's changed because Paul told him, put to death whatever belongs to your earthly nature.
Where we at?
Colossians 3:1. 3:5.
3:5. Okay.
Everything that belongs to your earthly nature, sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed. It says, which is idolatry. All those things will make those things our God. Sexual immorality, another person. Impurity, just looking at stuff we shouldn't, or be putting things in our body that we shouldn't, or just being around things we shouldn't. Lust. I mean, everyone has that. Evil desires, greed. And then he goes on over here and he said, first of all, because of these things, the wrath of God is coming, which I think is something we don't talk about enough. The wrath of God, myself included. We're always talking about the happy God, the one that wants to save you and step in and redeem you.
And he loves you and he walks with you, but he's also a just God.
Yeah, yeah. We don't talk about that enough, and I probably need to study more about it before I could actually talk about it and sound intelligent. But the wrath of God is coming because of these things.
To sound intelligent.
Yeah.
I need to remember that one so I can put that one. I want to sound intelligent, so let me study it first.
Hey, that's it, bro. I'm not intelligent, so I have to study to sound intelligent. It says you used to walk in these ways in your life that you once lived, but you're not that anymore. He says, so now you also must rid yourself of anger, rage, malice, slander, filthy language from your lips. And that those are the exact things that trip people up, because there are people that sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, that's their fuel. Anger, rage, malice, slander, filthy language. I mean, that is who they are. So when they say you must get rid of these things, they're like, well, I can't be me without them. And it's super hard to get people to...
Exactly. We don't want you to be you. We want you to be like Christ.
Yeah.
Because I was like that. And we even got on the topic of worship. I said, we don't really call it worship. We call it being a fan or something like that. Or like, because he said in greed, back in 5, in greed, which is idolatry. That's what him and I went through. We probably got greedy unknowing. You know, we didn't set out to be greedy. We weren't the Scrooge. Scrooge knew he was greedy.
He knew it, yeah.
It was a ploy, and we fell for it, and we got sucked into it. And it's so easy, because I think it says in Hebrews, the sin that so easily entangles.
Yeah,
in
easily.
Hebrews. I say, because Satan's crafty. It even says back in Genesis, he was the craftiest. Because I've heard it 2 ways. I heard he was the serpent, and then I heard he went into the serpent. I kind of like the second one. This makes some more sense, because I don't think Satan's a snake or any kind of a serpent. I say he's not the devil that people are picturing.
Right.
Okay,
right.
He's not that. He's going to come at you with, because he's been called the morning star. The stars aren't really ugly. Like, not stars on TV, stars in the sky. He's going to come at you with what he knows is going to trip you up and ensnare you. I said, that's how he's coming to you.
And I guess what we have to remember is actually what comes before that Colossians 3, where we're talking about free. We have just freedom in Christ. And it's so, that's we have to keep that in our memory at the forefront, that we're free from all of that stuff. Like, yeah, that stuff is like there. We know it's part of our life, like sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires. Those things are going to come up in our life because we're men, for one, so they're going to come up more often than women. But you would be surprised. Some of the stats I looked up last week, women are pretty close into being just as jacked up as we are as far as sexual immorality and lust and that stuff goes. I was surprised by that.
Because they're more, they're driven more by their feelings than we are.
You think?
Women are, yeah. I mean, you might be an exception because some of the language that you use is like.
I haven't said our relationship has blossomed in probably
Till
6
now.
months. So, yeah, I had to bring it back out one more time. But, yeah, so we're free.
They're emotionally driven. That's what I was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
They're more driven by their emotions. We're like the dog chasing the car down the road.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I'm doing this. And you get the car, it's like, what are you going to do? I don't know what to do with it. I just go.
Yeah. So we just have to remember that we are redeemed, and it says, since then you have been raised with Christ, set your hearts on the things above. And that's what we have to camp out at. We have to continually be reminding ourselves of the things above, of the goodness of God, of what he wants our hearts and our lives to be, because I can easily drop into all of these things: anger, rage, malice, slander, filthy language. I mean, I can just go there quickly and not even.
And that's what I was saying earlier. This could go back to what I mentioned earlier, is the difference between the world and then a believer is that we'll get convicted of it, and then because it says seek what is above. Well, my forgiveness will be from above. It's like if you repent, that's all you got to do. Mm-hmm. But you can't just speak it. You have to believe it in your heart. I said, that's the key word, because I brought up the Romans 10:9 to him. I said, the key word in that is heart. I said, he wants your heart. Now, you can give him lip service all day long, because Jesus even got on to the Pharisees. You honor me with your lips. Heart's far from me. I know who you are.
That's right.
And even, I think in John, it says he, Jesus, would not entrust himself to man because he knows what's in man's heart. These bunch of knuckleheads. No.
Yeah, I was just thinking back on what we talked about that when we were doing John over on the stage over there. I remember talking about that when Jesus said, I'm not trusting these guys. I know what's in their heart. Yeah, I remember that now. And so we got to just stay fixated on Christ. I mean, it's easy to say, and that is the main goal. But it's hard to get people to get there. It was hard to get me there. It was hard to get you there. I think you said a couple of weeks back that it took 16 years, maybe 16 on Wednesday night. Yeah. You're like, for 16 years I fought it, and I don't know how many years I fought it. I guess probably very close to the same. Just a lot of years where we know what to do, and I think my passion stays the same. I just want someone out there to see the same Jesus that saved me. I want them to experience that in their life, because obviously it's life changing. That sounds dumb to say, but it's changing. It'll change you.
It might sound dumb, but it's true.
It'll change you in ways that you're not thinking of right now in the moment. Like, it'll just change you in ways that you can't even fathom. And so, if people will just take that leap of faith and step out there, God is waiting to do. Just like you told your friend, turn around. He's standing right there. He will run to you. He's not like a long ways away.
If you just turn around and see him and take one step, he's full coming. Throttle right to you.
That's right.
He's coming to you. He's waiting for you.
Yeah. So, Mike, let's call it a wrap right there, bro, for tonight. We'll jump into John next week, John chapter 12. Next week will be the Monday before Palm Sunday. And so maybe we can get into a little bit of that discussion.
Well, we might have to Zoom it.
Because
I'll be in Tennessee.
Next Monday, you'll be in Tennessee. What's going
on
in Tennessee?
It's spring break next week.
Oh, it's spring break next week?
Your kids are going to be
I'll be in Panama City. You know how I do it? No, I'm just joking.
So you're going to be on there like one of those big things and the straws coming out.
Straws going everywhere.
He's going to have the A hat on with the 2 beers and straws. What are you doing? What's it look like? You gonna sound like that guy. You gonna sound Aussie.
The guy that called me, yeah.
He's saying
I didn't know it was spring break, so I guess I don't have any plans. So good. Enjoy Tennessee. We could Zoom it, but it will be Palm Sunday coming up very soon, where we get to start talking about Easter.
Hosanna.
Yep.
Yeah, my 6-year-old, we were riding somewhere the other day, and it was all 3 of us. He was saying, Easter is April 17th. He's like, you're right. I was like, yeah, he is right, isn't he? I had to kind of double check myself.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying he was wrong. I was just like, well, let me make sure.
That's right. Hey, man,
But he knew that.
These little kids are amazing what they know now. And your son and my son, obviously, our kids went to the same school. An amazing school. I mean, founded in Jesus, based in Jesus. That's what they know, is what they do. I've been super pleased. And just watching your son, I feel like he's the twin of my son.
Following in the footsteps.
A few years later, yeah, they look identical with their little blonde hair and all that kind of stuff. So, but these kids got it figured out. And Jesus knew kids had it figured out. That's why he told people you need to have faith like a child. Yeah. Because they get it.
It's like, basically, and I've tried to ponder on that saying. I've studied it. Mm-hmm. And then I'll watch my son. Mm-hmm. And then other little kids about his size, his age. It's like, hey, what is this? Well, it's this. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, they'll just say, oh, if my dad is saying that's what it is, that's what it is.
No doubt.
No change in my mind.
You could be wrong.
So I'm like, I guess if Jesus says, I'm the Messiah, I'm the way, the life, the truth, and the life.
Faith like a child says, okay.
Rock on. I'm with you, man. But we can't do that.
Yeah, I know. We got to go debate it and figure it out and all that on our own.
We have to get the test lab out. And
Jesus is big enough for all that, though. So bring on your test
labs.
That's
bring
on it all.
Yeah, bring it on.
He's big enough for all of it. So thank you guys for listening tonight, or today, or this morning, or
we're going to try to get better. We're going to try to get better.
Yeah,
once a week.
We're going to get better. We did well for a little bit, and it's just life gets busy. We just got to remember the priority, and this is one of our priorities, and so we got to just stick to it. So I'll make a vow to get better.
I'm not going to go that far, but I'm going to try to get you to do better.
I'll try. Mike said before we started, and I agreed with him, that if we got paid for every episode, we'd pump out 10 a week. We don't get
Yeah, and if it was enough to be, to sustain life,
we would do as many as you wanted.
Hey, once a day, man.
There you go.
Let's rock on with it.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for liking, subscribe, share it with your friends and family, all that. We'll catch you guys next week.